You know, there's really something about already being rampantly mentally ill and stuck in these cycles where you like feel okay for a few months and you think, hey, maybe this is it, the getting of my shit into a togetherish formation, until you lose your fucking marbles all over again, and then you have to retroactively be like, okay, what the fuck even happened here, and how do I move forward from it, like one of those gross adults you read about. Plus you're just at an age where you all the time constantly feel like you're at the precipice of something, just something huge and unfathomable, and then you get thrown headlong into this pandemic where you have no choice but to rely on your local government to deal with a public health crisis, something they're notoriously proficient at throughout history. And you just wake up one day in mid-February and realize you've been indoors for a year and it's somehow still getting harder, like you're different now, and you don't know how to navigate this world with these like new cabin fever flavor anxieties you've got, and you don't even know when that issue is going to be like relevant really, and I just think there's really something about it.
The revolution is not going to look the way that we anticipated it looking, or can reference it having looked before because of technology and technological advancement. On both sides. On one side, you have social media, which has been the biggest microphone for marginalized communities. It's also been the biggest microscope for societal decay. And on the other side, you have weapons that have just strengthened the fist with which America can enforce imperialism. Taking up arms against a country which has been laid out as a means to changing the way that things are run isn't feasible. It's literally a death sentence. Demonstrating is damn near a death sentence. And it's not a sacrifice that anyone is willing to make because of the country that we are in. Our patriotism and care for one another has been completely eroded by partisanship, just decimated. And there is no urgency to sacrifice your life for a country that doesn't want you in it, quite literally on both sides. So when playing the risk reward of what do I want more, my life or for this country that keeps hurting me to flourish, it's not a very close game at all. So quite literally, until absolutely no one can afford the price of bread, will we take to the streets. We will not all be on the same page until we are all hungry. Homelessness. We walk over each other right now. We might not get there that way. I do have hope, though. It's a measured hope, it's a jaded hope, but I carry it with me because police recruitment's down, military recruitment's down. The fist is getting more difficult to enforce because the public is witnessing the effects. It's becoming more valuable to go for the exponential win than it is to go out and fight the game of inches. To get on your phone and to talk to people about the cause and effect, and to drill that in, cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect. Not to say don't go out and demonstrate. Obviously, eventually we'll all be out in the streets, but there is no deadlier weapon than an informed public. And when you can see the effects, I don't know. It's nice to have hope. So, I don't know. Get mad, stay angry, be ready to burn shit down when it's time.
Columbia and Barnard students built a Gaza solidarity encampment, and the university sent riot cops to arrest them, destroyed their encampment, and initially put all of their belongings in an alleyway. And now at least 50 Barnard students who were allegedly at the protest have been suspended with no due process. So this is a look at what's actually going on at Columbia University. And the 34 hours that precursed President Manu Shafiq sending NYPD riot cops on the Columbia campus for the first time since 1968. At 4 a.m. on April 17th, student protesters set up tents on the East Butler lawn on Columbia University to launch the Gaza Solidarity Encampment, allowing President Manu Shafiq, who has notoriously suppressed the free speech of the Free Palestine movement on campus, a little surprised the morning she wakes up and has to testify to Congress. The student protesters made clear that they plan to occupy that space until the university divests from company ties with Israel and gives complete financial transparency about the school's investment. The student protesters made a public statement saying, "We refuse to accept a world where the death of over 30,000 Palestinians is normal, acceptable, or profitable. We are in complete solidarity with the Palestinian people who resiliently resist decades of occupation, apartheid, and genocide. We remain steadfast in our commitment to see a free Palestine within our lifetime." The students acknowledged that the Gaza Solidarity Encampment is a continuation of the legacy of the 1968 anti-Vietnam and anti-segregation protests that occurred on Columbia's campus. These student protesters were organized to stay as long as needed with shelter, solar panels and charging station, organized food and supplies, and even had built bathroom tents. So by 9:40 that morning, administrative staff started to come to the encampment and threaten student protesters with immediate suspension if they did not leave.
If you do not disperse by 11 a.m., you will be suspended.
Immediate suspension with no due process is against the university's own policies. On the outside perimeter of the encampment, there were a few Zionists that attempted to harass the protesters, but those in the encampment went out of their way to not engage with these people and stayed focused on building community activities like singing songs about their goal of divestment and attending a teach-in session on de-occupation.
The apartheid movement was born of an internal mobilization.
The vast majority of students on campus have visibly and publicly supported the Gaza Solidarity Encampment. And when there was a potential police sweep on the first night, hundreds in the community of Columbia and Barnard came to join the protest, even creating a human chain around the encampment. Up with liberation! Day 2 began with 3 Barnard students getting emails that they are suspended and evicted from their housing immediately with no due process.
Who else got suspended?
Yeah, wait, so
I got suspended, and Soph as well.
Soph as well? So it's just the 3 of us now.
These 3 just ended up being the first of over 50 of Barnard students suspended in relationship to the encampment, and it should be noted that their suspensions took place 2 hours and 53 minutes before NYPD entered the encampment, and that they are all publicly outspoken student organizers. One of the first 3 suspended is Isra Hersey, who is also the daughter of Ilhan Omar, who in the day previous to her daughter's suspension grilled President Manu Shafiq about her treatment of Free Palestine student protesters. This is a little bit of what Isra had to say shortly after her suspension.
Me and 2 other Barnard students who've actively been seen as lead organizers and been doing interviews have just received notice that we are immediately suspended, or immediately interim suspended, which means that I cannot access my resident hall, cannot access a dining hall, I cannot access campus, cannot access any buildings. Yeah, and basically I cannot go to class, I cannot turn in any assignments, I cannot do really anything. And this just comes at you could just tell this is an intimidation tactic. They sent out a warning to every single student here, but they obviously cannot reach every single. Oh, okay. If the student poses an ongoing threat of disruption or interference with the normal operations of the college, that is the only grounds on which I've been suspended on. Just disruption. So nothing clear, nothing else explicit.
And since Barnard has made banned on campus posters for these organizers that are being circulated on the front desks of all Barnard dorms. Context is important, so don't forget that even before this encampment, these student protesters have experienced the banning of their SJP and JBP chapters, doxing from Zionist students and external Zionist groups, ruthless harassment from an on-faculty university professor, a chemical attack from a former IOF soldiers leading to dozens of hospitalizations, illegal surveillance from the university and the NYPD continuously attacking any protests outside their gates, and 5 students being arbitrarily suspended with no due process on April 5th. So an hour and a half later at 12, even with the news of the newest suspensions of the Barnard students, the student protesters attempted to continue on with their programming, which was a rally. But were cut short because they were informed that the NYPD had entered the campus and were about to attack. As Columbia University, specifically President Manu Shafiq, had called in the NYPD to sweep the encampment. So the organized student protesters, ready for this level of repression, made a circle linking arms in the center of their encampment so the whole university could watch their arrest.
We will not rest, we will not rest.
And as the riot cops started to flood the encampment, so did thousands in the community of Columbia Barnard to support the student protesters. The first few arrests from the NYPD not only included Barnard and Columbia students, but clearly marked legal observers. And before beginning arrests, the NYPD pushed credentialed press to the sidelines, but allowed their uniformed surveillance staff to film on the grass within the encampment. The NYPD not only brought riot cops to arrest the student protesters on their own campus, but also some of the highest ranking and most fascist NYPD, which included the literal killer cop, Chief of Patrol John Shell. So we should all never forget that Columbia University allowed a literal killer cop on their campus to arrest their students for protesting a genocide. Again, I can't stress this. What's on the screen right now is the quote-unquote counterterrorism unit of the NYPD, the Strategic Response Group, arresting student protesters for protesting on their campus. Called for by Columbia University President Manu Shafiq. This is the first time since 1968 that Columbia has called the police to arrest student protesters. After 108 individuals were arrested, the university called in sanitation workers to put the encampment in bins as the riot cops just stood around and then dumped all of their belongings in an alleyway. And then the administration began issuing a new wave of suspensions to anyone who attempted to pick up their belongings. And now, over 50 Barnard students who were allegedly at the protest have been suspended and evicted from their housing with no due process, meaning that over 1% of Barnard has been suspended and evicted for protesting against a genocide on their campus. However, minutes after the arrest of the 108, other student protesters jumped over the fence to the west lawn and have continued the Gaza Solidarity Encampment there. The Columbia Gaza Solidarity Encampment has sparked additional encampments and protests around the country and has proven to be a continuation of the legacy of the 1968 student protests in Columbia. So we should all keep our eyes on Columbia University, demand the suspension charges be dropped, and most importantly, keep talking about and fighting for Palestine.
Being a landlord is inherently exploitation because what it means is that somebody is paying for your mortgage while you build the equity from that thing and charge them an additional amount on top of that so you don't have to work. Well, in theory, couldn't you use the same argument for being a business owner if the business isn't owner operated? Actually, funny you should say that. Have I ever talked to you about who I think should own the means of production?
Teach me how to duck it, ayy. Get it. They be like, smooth. What? Can you teach me how to duck it? Go. You know why? Cause all the bitches love me. All I need is a beat that's super bumpin'. And for you to back it up and dump it. Imagine. Put your arms out front, lean side to side. They gon' be on you when they see you hit that Dougie ride. What? Ain't nobody fucking with my bro from Morningside. He go by Bubba and he hit that dance like thunder. Okay.
Teach me how to duck it. Teach me how to duck it. No. Teach me how to duck it. Teach me how to duck it. No.
All my bitches love me. All my bitches love me.
What?
All my bitches love me. You ain't fucking with my Dougie.
Hey, young people, I want to let y'all know right now, we raising the retirement age from 65 to 70. So now you got to work from now until you 70 to afford a basic living. Bro, I'm not doing that shit. What you gonna do, just not have a job? Hell yeah. Bitch, I'll off myself. Y'all got me fucked up. Before I work my whole motherfucking life away just to barely get by, I'll take myself up out this bitch. I'm already not making it. What more can I lose? So the young generation would rather dome they fucking self than get a job? I knew y'all didn't want to work. Bitch, when you was a kid, you could work at Walmart and pay rent, lights, and groceries. I work at Walmart right now, and I'm scared to even let them hear me hoping I could do that shit with one of my chicks, because I might have to pay a fucking fee for thinking that shit. The S&P 500 saw record-breaking profits last year. Fuck you telling me that for? Bitch, if that's the case, why the fuck I can't eat then? I work for $1 billion company, Walmart, and I'm struggling. There you go with that shit. I bet you want us to increase wages next, huh? Yeah, shit, that would be fucking amazing. And see, then the price of stuff gonna go up. See, bitch, that's the problem I'm having, because maybe y'all need to fucking call Anonymous, and we need to get him in here and find out who hacked the motherfucking prices of shit. Because them bitches sure been moving, and my wage ain't did nothing. Well, look, citizen, humans are living longer. So we have to extend the retirement age, right? Y'all making people live longer just so they can work long. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Bitch, why the government ain't got no retirement ages? Y'all get to be rich zombies in that bitch and you don't fucking start living good when you leave. Y'all be living good from day one. What's up with that shit? Well, maybe y'all need to go vote. I hate all politicians now. I got a better idea. Let's bring back assassinations.
Why is it always life sucks and never no vale nada la vida? La vida no vale nada. Comienza siempre llorando y así llorando se acaba. Por eso es que en este mundo la vida no vale nada. Life sucks.
Hello, darling. How are you today?
I'm fabulous. Who is Sister Boom Boom and what does she stand for?
Well, Sister Boom Boom is really Sister Rose of the Bloody Stains of the Sacred Robes of Jesus. But that's okay. You can call me Boom Boom. I'm one of an order of gay male nuns dedicated to the expiation of stigmatic guilt and the perpetration of universal joy. We're called the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, and we believe that God created a beautiful paradise for us to live in, and if we would all just enjoy the fruits of that garden, there'd be plenty for everybody to enjoy, and everyone could be happy.
Yourself. Are you the Mother Superior?
Oh no, we don't have a Mother Superior. We elect officers in compliance with the corporate laws of the state. We are a tax-exempt corporation, but, oh, excuse me, where are those cigarettes?
I think you tucked them into your,
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
But we function basically as an anarcho-syndicalist convent.
For what?
Sister Boom Boom is not in the November election, so I don't see that that's relevant. I really look at some of these, quote, characters. They wouldn't exist if the media didn't make a phenomenon out of them.
Got a guy on the ledge. Can you handle this?
Yeah, I'm gonna crush this.
Hey, look at you on the ledge of glory right now.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Boo, get off the stage.
Boo
yourself. What are you even doing up there?
Sick of life. It's too hard.
Yeah, I feel that, brother.
Is this reverse psychology or something?
No, I'm being dead ass. Like, I see you standing up there and I'm like, God, I wish that was me right now. Like, I wake up every day and I'm just like, do I even want to be doing this? Do I like my job or my friends or my hobbies? Like, am I gonna be able to afford to retire? Or do I have to wake up every day for the rest of my life and just keep feeding the machine until I kick it? I'm also hyper aware of the fact that my body is slowly decaying every day, and even the good stuff feels like a burden. Every day the planet gets hotter and billionaires are more concerned with launching themselves to the bottom of the ocean just to say they did it. Meanwhile, everyone else has to choose between paying for their health care or paying for their rent. Thank God my depression makes me not want to eat so I don't have to pay for groceries. And why do strawberries go bad so fast?
Holy shit, dude. Are you taking meds or anything? Do you know what Lexapro is? Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm coming down. You need a prescription medication and a good therapist, okay? And I think I can help you out. Let's work this out.
Alrighty, sounds good.
Did you make that up to do some reverse psychology shit? Or... Oh, for sure. Yeah, I am mentally stable. And life is a blessing, and I don't think about ending it all the time.
Cool.
Fantastic.
I remember a while ago this girl asked the internet, what is math? Like, did we just...
The premise of this video is this creator summarizes an instance where a girl got on TikTok and basically asked, what is math? Where did it come from? How do we know it actually exists? Da da da. And everybody on TikTok, everybody on Twitter cooked her. I mean, broiled her at 500 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? And it wasn't until a bunch of like physicists and astrophysicists jumped in and were like, you know what, this is actually a really great question. And so this creator says the way that she judges whether or not people are intelligent is if they ask questions. Another creator stitched this creator's video and said that they were a philosophy major and a Gemini, so they're always asking questions like this and how you should be programmed to also question everything and not accept things for how they are. And this reminds me a lot of the monkey ladder experiment, where 4 monkeys are lined up and there's a ladder in front of them, and atop the ladder are a bunch of bananas hanging from above. When the first monkey goes up to try to climb the ladder to get the bananas, the 3 other monkeys are sprayed with freezing cold water. So what do the monkeys do? Out of rage, they attack this monkey that's trying to go get the bananas, and that monkey falls back in line. Then the second monkey is like, okay, let me try, goes to try to get the bananas. The monkeys are sprayed with freezing cold water. They attack this monkey. That monkey falls back in line. So at this point, these monkeys know nobody's going up there to try to get those bananas. So one of the 4 monkeys is kicked out and a new monkey comes in. This new monkey has never once been sprayed with cold water. So when that monkey, of course, goes and tries to climb the ladder to get the bananas, all these other 3 monkeys are like, absolutely not. They beat him up and that monkey falls back in line. They keep kicking monkeys out until finally it's 4 new monkeys, okay? And when one of them tries to go and, grab the bananas, all the other monkeys, these monkeys who have never been sprayed with water and have no idea that this consequence is even coming, start beating up this new monkey because they know when I tried to do it, I got beat up. And this experiment really just goes to show how society and institutions will brainwash you and indoctrinate you from birth into believing that things are just the way they are. So much so that you don't even question. You've never seen the consequence. You have no idea what could even really actually happen to you. You have no idea what the implications are of trying to even conceive something new, and you will get punished. So when people really ask things like, why does inflation exist? Why can't everyone just have healthcare? Why, what else? Why do we have to work 9 to 5? Why are there 5-day work weeks? Why can't it just be 4? These are not obvious questions. We have just been indoctrinated since literal birth to believe that this is normal, and doing anything otherwise, including questioning it, will get you punished and beat the fuck up, literally or metaphorically. And so that's why you can't really just assume anything to just be fact, okay? This is like post-structuralism 101, right? There is no universal truth. There's only what you've been told and what's been regurgitated to you since the beginning of time. So all of that to say, adopt. You may not have any Gemini in your chart. You may not be a philosophy major. You may not even be like the most academic person, but that doesn't mean that you should just accept things as they come, as they're fed to you. Question things, question people, even if it's authority. These motherfuckers that are higher up than us in the government or in your institutions, they don't really know that much more than you do, honestly. Like, question things until you actually get an answer that suffices. As long as you're not intending to harm anybody or harm yourself. Question things until you get an answer that makes sense, and you'll find more often than not that a lot of this shit just doesn't make sense. It's just been the status quo for that long.
This comment, because whatever this is such an apt phrase. Well, people on the internet will get mad at even the implication that somebody might be suggesting that there's something that they maybe need to do, and they'll just start yelling all of the reasons why they can't do anything. I will reiterate until I expire that it is up to each of us to figure out how we can contribute. Because most of us are now or at some point sitting here and we're learning about all of the suffering going on in the world, or we already know about it and we're just stewing on it, and we're stewing on our own suffering. We can barely pay our bills if we're paying them at all. We are suffering, we know other people are suffering, and we have figured out that there are large systems that are creating this suffering, and there are people running these systems. If we want to get to a society that cares for people's needs and does not function on mass oppression, most of us know that we need some kind of this. So we can sit here and be really upset about our own suffering, and we can know that we need to do this. That part's pretty easy. But most of us also know that we can't just walk outside and do a revolution. And that's why I think so many people are so frustrated and so quick to get defensive, because they know that this needs to happen and they don't know how to make it happen. They're already struggling really bad. So when somebody suggests something that they can do, it always feels like too much and not enough. But if we work backwards, we know if we need this, we need this. We need popular support. We need numbers. We need people to know what leftists are. And we need this, which is where most people's violent fantasies come into play. Most people want to be this, but we don't need most people to be this. We need most people to be this. But it's still a huge gap between where most of us are now and any of this. Because in order to have this stuff, we need to do all of these things. Yeah, we do need to vote. We do. If it didn't matter, they wouldn't try to make us not be able to do it. This is where all the conversations come in. This is where changing minds comes in. This is where educational materials comes in that's not just telling people to read Marx. They're not gonna read Marx. And on this side of things, we need so much logistical organizing. We have to find and create systems to get people their basic needs, because most of us are barely, if at all, getting our basic needs, and they're not going to be given to us by the people in power. But to do any of this stuff, we can't just be solitary. Most of us cannot provide any of these things on our own. So yeah, step 1 is like meeting people. Or I guess step 1 is keeping yourself alive. Step 2 is meeting people, but those kind of go together. And everything between steps 1 and 2 and all of this is going to look different for all of us.
What the fuck is going on? What in the fuck is I should elaborate. The queer and trans community has been suffering an absolute blitzkrieg of cruelty at the hand of legislators across the country. Just when you thought things couldn't be getting worse, they moved the goalposts by a mile. Now, although I am buttressed by a pretty hefty amount of privilege, if you couldn't already, I am a member of the queer community and a trans ally, and as I pursue a career in counseling, queer and trans youth is my intended specialization. I don't want to do the typical TikTok thing of claiming a false sense of authority on anything, because at the end of the day, I'm just a guy trying to cope through this terribleness. I won't assume a single thing about you, including any economic, existential, multicultural issues that might be befalling you at the present moment. But if you could indulge me for this video, there are tweaks to my perspective on things and my coping skills that are constantly being adapted to the craziness that I would like to not go to waste. Number 1, just validating your mental, physical reaction to what is happening goes a long way. Because this is the absolute intention of these bills. Cruelty is the point. You feeling dehumanized, demoralized, and hopeless is the exact intention. I don't want to meet the person who isn't completely burnt out at this point in time, who has their heart and soul in these communities. It sucks when caring sucks. Being empathetic sucks, because it does suck right now. Number 2, not confusing putting away Twitter and the headlines with being blissful to them. I thought I was doing a disservice every time I just shut the news out. But a big pivot that I've been making, and counseling helps, is I am functioning and even deriving pleasure from life, not by ignoring what's happening, but in spite of what is happening. These people in power don't want you to function. They don't want you to find the hope and the optimism. They work around the clock for you not to. Now, some people just straight up can't enjoy anything right now, and that deserves to be validated as well. But if queer and trans erasure is what these legislators want, just existing, just being here is really enough in my opinion. Number 3, and this is a tough one, especially for you cynics out there. I do still believe, by and large, the general public is still in favor of trans support. The groomer rhetoric might have you think otherwise, but these people were already inclined to be transphobic and queerphobic. I don't know if you've been seeing these school walkouts in southern states, but it is inspiring. Queer and trans affirmation for young people is a currency that is invaluable right now. I do think there are better days ahead, and I really, really hope you can stick around to see it. When you take care of yourself, you take care of everyone.